taking your time to produce an excellent program. That's from Alan. Thanks a lot, Alan. Man, first of all, I would like to acknowledge and appreciate the compliments you gave us, because we appreciate that. Now into your tech problem. Dor, is Ubuntu, you don't boot into, you don't run it from Windows, do you?
Oh, well, no, that's a typo. It's net bootin'.
Oh, net bootin'. Sorry.
Right. What that is, it's a tool to take a Linux operating system and copy over basically the ISO bootable CD to a thumb drive.
Yeah, but then you boot to the thumb drive. You don't use Windows, right? So,
right.
So it's not a Windows problem as much as we'd like to blame Microsoft. It's a hardware issue.
Right. It's a driver issue.
Yeah.
It has to be. I'm honestly ashamed I did not reply to him. But I don't think I replied to him.
Really?
I don't think I couldn't reply now that I noticed, because if I reply, it goes to you. So I think I replied to him, and I hit my search thing, and no, doesn't look like it. I'll reply to him. But what I need is more details. When you're in Linux, there are a couple of tools you can run that will give you hardware profiles. What I need is a hardware profile. If you just give me the make model of the laptop, I can probably find out. All it is, and I'll already tell you right now, it's HP, no doubt in my mind, putting some funky proprietary NIC card in the system that's causing it to not connect. But I need the make and model so I can start to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, that would definitely help. And worst case scenario, you could buy like oh well, no, he's even trying to look hardwired. I've bought a $15 refurbished Netgear wireless and adapter at CompUSA, and when I had a computer running Linux, I could not get to use it. It did the job. So, all
right, I got this. It's a USB to Ethernet. I've never had a problem. This works on every system I've ever connected it to, and a driver has only been needed in Windows.
Sweet.
Let's just say that. I use this for a lot of my testing to figure out if it's an operating system problem, or is it a driver hardware kind of problem.
Good. Yeah, when you know you got something stable like that, it's good. You have a reference point. Yeah,
but I do also suggest if you go and get like one of those like $15 USB Wi-Fi things, they work a lot of the times with no extra drivers needed.
Right. Very cool. Next one's from David. Wow, this is a humongous one. He says, I have enjoyed your podcast, Linux for the rest of... I really have enjoyed your podcast, Linux for the rest of us. I have searched a good Linux podcast, and you guys... I have searched for a good Linux podcast. First of all, David, sorry I butchered your email in the first 2 lines, but here we go. It's going to be much better now. I have searched for a good Linux podcast, and you guys are the best I have found. Sweet. Thanks, David. In my day job, I support Windows at a manufacturing company in Michigan. At home, I try to run Linux as much as possible. I have 2 items that continue to ruin my experience with Ubuntu Linux. I have trouble with my dual monitor extended display, and my computer will lock up in the middle of using it when I'm in Ubuntu. Let me tell you about my setup. I'm running Ubuntu 11.10 and Windows 7 Pro on a Dell Inspiron 1525 laptop. The laptop has a 160 gigabyte hard drive, 20 gigabyte for Ubuntu, Pentium dual core 2 gigahertz, 3 gigs of RAM, mobile Intel 965 Express chipset for video, and a Dell Wireless 1395 WLAN mini card for wireless. I'm running Ubuntu with Wooby. I have been running with this setup since May of this year. For the dual monitor extended display, I had a little trouble setting it up because sometimes it forgets after sleeping that it is in that mode and will go back to the same image on both screens, so I have to press Function F8 to get it to go back to the way I want it. This I can live with, but I was wondering if you know how to make it remember my settings after going to sleep. The other problem, which I cannot live with at least once a week, is The other problem which I cannot live with is at least once a week in the middle of working on something Ubuntu will lock up on me. I can still move the mouse around but cannot click on anything. I've never been successful in getting the mouse back, so I have to restart the laptop. I was thinking at first it was my video drivers because of the issues I've had with my extended display, but this has also happened a few times when I'm not using my second monitor. So now I'm thinking it could be my wireless NIC because I had to install the drivers myself, and they said they were public drivers. 2 years ago, I ran Ubuntu 9 on a Dell Inspiron 5100 without this locking up issue, so I think it's got to be a driver hardware issue. I'm really not sure what to do next. Any advice? I'm not sure what to do next. Any advice would be appreciated. I listened to episode number 57, and you guys talked about Netflix and Linux. I feel your pain. I tried for 2 weeks to find a solution to this problem. I do agree why it works on other products that are running Linux, but not supporting regular Linux distros is beyond me. The closest explanation on why it does not work was in a blog talking about Moonlight, the open source version of Silverlight. Netflix uses Silverlight. Moonlight does not have the same DRM information as its proprietary brother Silverlight. I tried Moonlight remoting into a Windows computer using RDP, and it looked into the Android SDK, but I ended up using a VM of Windows XP with VirtualBox. Once I tweaked the video setting of the VM, it looks and sounds just fine. So if you are having this problem, if you have this problem, as I do, this really is the easiest fix and gets the job done. By the way, do not use the CCleaner registry cleaner on this VM because it will not boot again. But that's a story for another podcast. Thank you for the hard work you two put into making a great podcast. Sincerely, David. Thank you, David, very much. Door, take it away.
That's a lot. Honestly, number one, on Hackintoshes, I'm sure you've experienced this, Steve. A lot of times, everything works perfectly except for hibernation.
Yes.
Or the computer goes to sleep. Same kind of thing in Linux in general. It seems like the first thing that can not work correctly in a Linux distribution is hibernation and sleep. And it stems back to what's a technology called ACPI, something power, something. Every hardware manufacturer handles ACPI commands and how things work in ACPI a little bit differently. All it takes is the timing of things, the timing and pattern, let me just say it that way, of things starting back up to cause everything to blow up. Somebody might have the keyboard and mouse become active before webcam, where on every other system, the webcam would come first kind of thing, and the operating systems will just puke over themselves and not know what to do.
Okay.
I highly, highly, highly encourage, to be honest, the boots. People hate talking about boot speeds on Linux because it's the one thing every distribution puts in their list of new enhanced features, but it's true. If your Linux operating system does not boot in around 16 seconds, 18 seconds at the most, you have too much stuff installed, kind of thing. Yeah. 30 seconds, unbelievable maximum with hold hardware. Don't hibernate. If you're having issues, hibernate. I hate saying it, don't hibernate. Dual monitors, that's one thing I have absolutely no experience in. I honestly don't want experience in, because everybody, it seems like on every operating system platform, can experience weird, flaky things happening with dual monitors. I'm a firm believer, if you want two monitors, get two computers.
I know you're a firm believer in that, and we need to dispel that. This is one of those things, Door, that once you get hooked, you will not want to go back, and I can almost guarantee that.
How can I go wrong with two computers? I get twice the processing power.
Yeah, I know, but it's two different separate computers. I mean, if you want to just move stuff around on one computer, and
I can. I have drives map. It's just like easy.
Okay.
Pie.
All right.
I like pie. Don't you like pie? Well, I understand there's benefits to it. I'll say the one thing I can tell you that makes
you're just using weak ass computers. Let's be honest.
I know they're old. One thing I can say that it seems like an issue with dual monitor setups is what your video card is. NVIDIA seems to handle dual support a little bit better, and I'll put another one up on that. LXDE, XFCE, and GNOME seem to handle dual monitors a little bit better than other desktops, and GNOME 2, I'll say. People have been reporting GNOME 3 have pretty good dual monitor support, but if you're using KDE or if you're using Unity, all bets completely off. You know, they both do some very weird, funky, flaky stuff. If you give me some details on the hardware, I can definitely help guide you in the right direction, but I can't give you any direct 100% accurate answers on dual monitor stuff. Now, real quick, Netflix, Windows, Silverlight,
It's done.
done. Silverlight dead. Finally, people have been saying now for 3 years, it's dead. Just let it die already. Stop giving it CPR. Balmer, stop. It's dead, please. And they have, oh no, we can bring it back. You know, and they keep thinking they can bring it back. They can bring it back. They can bring it back. They finally gave up and said, okay, it's officially dead.
Right.
Netflix going to have to change how they're doing things. It probably won't get better on Linux based upon that news.
What are they going to use?
They're going to have to use either just straight .NET, or they're going to have to use a Windows Presentation Foundation, which neither of them actually truly run on Linux.
Great. That's what they said they're going to use, or they're not going to try to develop their own thing or anything? Okay.
I haven't heard what they said they're going to use. I just know what's available to them. And the reason why people on Windows developers like those tools is it's like making a modular house, Steve. You don't have to build the walls.
Right.
You ain't got to do any of that stuff. You just put these big, bloated, nonsensical blocks in and let them do the kind of work.
I see.
Thus, you have no control over the actual source code. You can't make anything do what you actually want it to do, and you're going to have exploited code because it all comes from Microsoft. That's what those two technologies entail. But they make development time much less.
Right.
Much less